For years, the Valorant community's been begging Riot for simple, obvious fixes. Balance changes that make sense, a replay system that literally every competitive shooter has, and a ranked mode that doesn't feel like a mental breakdown waiting to happen. And what do we get instead? Agents that either launch completely busted, or totally irrelevant stale metas that drag on for months, and a cash shop that's more predatory than a casino. This isn't just a, oh, Riot could do better kind of situation. This is Riot actively not listening while players scream into the void. So today we're diving into why Valorant, a game that started as a shooter with precise gunplay, has somehow become a game about ability spam and overpriced skins. Starting with the most requested feature since launch, a replay system. CSGO, Rainbow Six Siege, Marvel Rivals, and even Riot's very own League of Legends all have replay systems. Valorant in 2025? Still nothing. The community has found this to be an absolute failure on Riot's part, as it has taken them more than 5 years to release a rather simple feature. It's so simple, in fact, that a YouTuber named The Carrot Fella not only made his own version of Valorant, but also added a replay feature to his bootleg Valorant. It's become a meme amongst the community that Valorant will make useless changes to the game that no one asked for, but will not add something that fans have been wanting since day one. Just check the comment section of any Valorant content on literally any platform. You'll see that the community's asking for just one thing: the replay system. Speaking of unnecessary changes, Valorant's ranked system remains a mess as it barely feels rewarding and has a horrible matchmaking rating system that's not transparent to the general player base. Despite Riot's many changes to competitive, most of the updates feel like fluff. While some updates, like the recent ranked rollbacks in patch 10.05, undo unfair rank changes, the vast majority of changes did nothing to improve the overall competitive experience. Instead of getting rid of the rampant hacking in the early days,
this guy fucking cheating right now. This guy's cheating. Ban him on the spot.
And the incessant smurfs in the game, Riot would much rather make changes to the game's UI. In the early days of Valorant, Riot introduced patch 2.04 on March 2nd, 2021, which implemented a brutal RR decay system that wipes out the ranks of Radiant and Immortal players every act. With the amount of backlash that update received, Riot quickly adjusted the change 2 weeks later in patch 2.05 and slightly adjusted RR penalties for dodging, still refusing to address matchmaking's core issues. On November 16, 2021, patch 3.10 was released, and it saw a good change with the removal of restrictions on the same rank if you were playing with a 5-stack. However, this too came with a problem, and a 5-stack team with a Radiant player in it would see a 90% reduction in RR gain. There were also smaller reductions in RRs gained or lost, depending on how wide the gap was between ranks. Later, in patch 7.07 on October 2023, 2 years later, Riot finally removed 5-stack restrictions entirely, finally allowing players to queue with whoever they wanted. This only highlighted Riot's inconsistent approach to ranked rules. Patch 8.03 fixed a minor rounding issue with kills per round in the post-game summary, a meaningless change that had zero impact on actual gameplay, but still made it into the patch notes as if it mattered. Finally, patch 10.01 added rank shield icons, a pointless UI tweak. These changes are only some of the useless changes that Riot implemented in the ranked system. None of these changed up the rewards that you get from achieving a new rank, nor did they do anything to improve the staleness of the game mode. All they did consistently was add pointless features in ranked and make the game harder to play with friends. They also never gave a clear in-game system that shows how the competitive MMR works. You have to go through countless guides online, which are not even published by Riot, to understand how the invisible system works. Other games like Marvel Rivals have visible rating systems, clear progression, and actual incentives like good-looking skins and titles to grind. For Valorant, you get a fancy little gun buddy after hundreds of hours of chipping your life away in the grind. Valorant also suffers from a stale meta problem. Riot has a frustrating habit of refusing to shake things up, leaving players stuck in repetitive, unfun gameplay cycles. Instead of regular tweaks that keep the game dynamic, We're forced to deal with the same dominant strategies and overplayed agents until Riot finally decides to step in, usually way too late. Take Reyna's recent temporary removal from March 21st, 2025 to March 24th, for example.
So Reyna is currently completely disabled and removed in Valorant. If you go to your agent menu in the lobby right now and try and see her, you can just look. There is no Reyna.
Competitive felt fresh for a brief moment. Suddenly, games weren't filled with Reyna one-tricks farming eco-frags and doing nothing for the team. It raised an obvious question. Why not introduce an agent ban system? It would give players some control over the meta, let them avoid annoying agents, and prevent the same stale compositions from appearing every match. But Riot, true to form, refuses to entertain the idea. It's wild how a game as recent as Marvel Rivals, released on December 6, 2024, had this system already implemented in their game since launch, keeping a game with one of the most broken metas fresh. At the heart of this issue is Riot's unwavering obsession with professional play. They balance Valorant as if it's an esports first and game second, disregarding what casual players want. If an agent disrupts ranked, but it isn't a problem in the VCT, they'll go untouched for months. If something minor affects pro play, expect a knee-jerk reaction and immediate patch notes. The result, a game that too often feels static and unresponsive to the player base that makes up the majority of its community. The stale meta has been an issue for almost throughout the entire of Valorant's lifespan. Riot is notoriously horrible at balancing its agents when they get too overpowered. Either they completely turn a blind eye to them, or they nerf them so hard that the agent becomes unplayable. They also have a bad rep for changing up agents that need no fixing. You'd think a tactical shooter would have careful, well-thought-out balancing. But Riot's approach feels like throwing darts at a board while blindfolded. Yoru has never been meta, yet Riot keeps nerfing him like he's dominating every lobby. In patch 3.0 back in June 2021, his blindside cost increased from 200 to 250, and gate crash cooldown increased from 35 to 40 seconds. Fast forward to patch 10.06 in April 2025, Riot is still on Yoru's back, nerfing him yet again. His fake out has doubled in price, increasing from 100 to 200 credits. Meanwhile, agents who actually needed buffs, like Harbor and ISO, were ignored. Another example of useless nerfs is Killjoy. Her Nano Swarm was nerfed back in patch 6.08 on April 25, 2023, revealing its location and making it significantly easier to destroy. Meanwhile, Cypher's Trapwire has remained untouched despite years of complaints. Killjoy was no longer a joy to play, and Cypher quickly took the throne as the definitive Sentinel. Cypher only received a nerf in patch 9.10 in November of 2024. This is also when Omen was nerfed for no reason. His dark cover smokes now fall to level geometry instead of sticking mid-air. Players never asked for this change, and nobody wanted it, yet Riot pushed it through anyway. Riot is also horrible at releasing new agents into the game. Every time they introduce a new character, it feels like they're either crank them up to 11 or release them in such a pathetic state that they're dead on arrival. The worst part, once an agent lands in either category, they usually stay there for months, if not years, before Riot finally decides to step in. And when they do balance things, it's often for the wrong reasons, with casual players left out of the equation entirely. Back when Astra and Chamber were first launched, they were both ridiculously strong. The two of them were meta-defining picks during their primes, and not picking them meant you instantly lost the game. Riot, predictably, left them untouched for an outrageous amount of time, with Chamber in particular dominating casual, competitive, and professional play for over a year. When Riot finally decided to nerf these agents, they made them completely unplayable. Astra's reign as Valorant's most dominant controller was undeniable, but Riot's handling of her nerfs effectively neutered her to the point of irrelevance. Introduced in patch 2.04 on March 2, 2021, Astra's ability to control multiple areas from anywhere on the map made her an absolute powerhouse, especially in professional play. Her utility, including the Gravity Well, Nova Pulse, and Nebula, gave her a unique ability to disrupt enemy strategies and control engagements with unrivaled precision. However, after months of dominating the meta, Riot began to reign in her power. The first round of nerfs in patch 3.06 was already significant. Her Gravity Well and Nova Pulse had increased cooldowns, and her stars could no longer be deployed instantly but had to charge first. Yet the real devastation came with patch 4.04 in March 2022, where Riot dealt one of the most brutal blows in Valorant's history. Her cooldowns were doubled, her star count was reduced from 5 to 4, and Nebula's cooldown was also significantly increased. Even worse, her stars stopped functioning under certain structures, making her utility far less effective. The changes turned Astra from the game's strongest controller into one of its least picked agents, a fall from grace that showed just how drastically Riot could strip the life out of a once dominant pick. Chamber, once hailed as Valorant's most dominant agent, faced a similar harsh fate. His abilities were revolutionary when introduced, offering unparalleled mobility and lethality. Rendezvous allowed him to take aggressive angles without risk, while his Headhunter pistol made him deadly even in eco rounds. His ultimate, Tour de Force, was effectively a supercharged operator, and his trademark traps gave him the power to lock down sites with ease. Chamber quickly became a must-pick, peaking with a 77% pick rate during VCT Masters Copenhagen in July 2022. But Riot, once again, waited far too long to intervene. The nerfs started with patch 5.12 in December 2022, and they were nothing short of debilitating. His teleport range was drastically reduced, making his ability to take aggressive angles much less effective. His ultimate, Tour de Force, was slowed down, reducing its impact, and his traps were weakened. His Headhunter also lost much of its potency, leaving Chamber's gunplay unreliable compared to other duelists. These nerfs resulted in a catastrophic drop in Chamber's pick rate, falling from 77% to just 14.2%, and he was effectively removed from the meta. What was once an agent with unrivaled versatility and dominance was reduced to a shadow of his former self, completely neutered by Riot's heavy-handed approach to balancing. While Riot absolutely deleted Astra and Chamber, they released some agents after them who were heavily underpowered. These agents, Harbor, Deadlock, Vise, and also ISO, have become completely irrelevant to the meta since their introduction. Harbor was advertised as a game-changing controller, yet he is till date the least used agent in Valorant, standing at only 0.4% of usage. Both Deadlock and ISO, while they do see play, are still very mid in the game and have not received any significant changes through their years in the game. Vise is currently the fourth least played agent in the game and is picked only 1.4% of the time. She's disappeared into irrelevance since her launch, just like Harbor, but at least he's known for being the least picked agent. But then you have the other side of the spectrum. We have Tejo and Waylay. The two agents, launched on January 8th and March 5th, 2025 respectively, have already become a problem. Tejo introduced abilities that significantly disrupted the existing Valorant meta. His guided salvo allowed for area denial and utility destruction, effectively countering agents like Killjoy by neutralizing her defensive setups. Additionally, his stealth drone provided stealthy reconnaissance while suppressing enemy abilities, further enhancing his disruptive playstyle. These features led to widespread concerns within the community about his overpowered status. Waylay has been criticized for being a cheap knockoff of Jet and Neon since her trailer dropped. From her lighting design reminiscent of Neon to her dash abilities that are exactly the same as Prime Jet, Waylay is seen as a lazy attempt by Riot to add something new to the game. What's worse is that she's already kind of busted. Combining Jet and Neon has already led to the creation of an agent that can define the meta just like her predecessors did back in the day. And that's the core problem. Riot doesn't balance Valorant for the players, they balance for esports. If an agent disrupts pro play, they're nerfed immediately, but if an agent's unplayable in ranked, good luck waiting a year for changes. Riot claims they balance for both casual and professional play, but every decision they make proves otherwise. If you're not in the top 0.1% of players or part of Riot's marketing strategy, you simply don't matter. Have you noticed that we've not talked about any of the guns in the game thus far? Valorant's transformation from a game rooted in precise gunplay to a chaotic mess of ability spam has been nothing short of jarring. When the game first launched, it promised a tactical shooter, where the foundation was sharp aim, positioning, and strategy. Players prided themselves on mastering crosshair placement and outsmarting opponents in firefights. However, with Riot's continuous and often excessive focus on agent abilities, the game has steadily shifted towards a model that rewards the use of overpowered kits rather than individual skill. Abilities like Tejo's stealth drone, or the countless blinding abilities in the game, where the outcome is often determined not by who lands the first shot, but by who can disable or disrupt the other players first. This shift has eroded the game's core mechanics, leaving many to question whether Valorant is still a tactical shooter in the truest sense of the term. Even Valorant's biggest star has shared his opinion on Valorant's state in 2025.
Games here at Riot, but I figured we could also show you some. We're making new games, and this one's different, so
wait, the line's coming? The line's coming?
Project A is our character-based tactical shooter. It's competitive. It has precise gunplay.
Okay, precise gunplay. And then you know what precise gunplay looks like in 2025? This is precise gunplay, by the way. Look at this. Look at this fucking shit. Bro, what's going on? Red, green, blue, dead, orb. Boom.
What?
One of Valorant's biggest creators, Joel's TV, has also come out recently talking about how repetitive the game has gotten, and that he's quitting the game.
I am quitting Valorant, but not in the way you think I am. I have been playing this game for about 4 years now, and I've done a lot of cool challenges.
Finally, we've come to the worst thing in Valorant, their horrible monetization. The YouTuber named Mr. Arkham perfectly described the game's monetization scheme in this video.
This means that Valorant has already grossed more than $15 billion in 4 years, something that League only managed in 13 years. This is why they will not add anything that will make you as a player happy.
Also titled, Valorant Hates Its Community. He called the game predatory and a never-ending money pit. Everything's designed to pressure players into spending, from the overpriced skins to the broken night market. And the worst part, there's no real reward system in place. You're either swiping your card or stuck with whatever scraps Riot decides to throw your way. Valorant's cosmetic economy is built around the fear of missing out, or FOMO. If you don't buy that bundle now, who knows when, or if it'll ever return. Store skins cost absurd amounts, with individual weapons regularly hitting $25 and full collections creeping past $100. Meanwhile, the Battle Pass exists as a glorified charity case, offering mediocre skins that look like dollar store knockoffs compared to the premium versions. Riot doesn't want you satisfied with the Battle Pass, they want you looking at the store, feeling like you need those premium skins. And just when you think you might get lucky with a deal, enter the absolute joke that is the night market. The night market came out on August 28, 2024. What should have been a way for players to get the skins they want at a discount, instead it's a rigged lottery system. You get 6 randomized offers every 2 months. 4 of them are guaranteed trash, and even the premium slots are premium skins that have no right being there. With over 360 skins in the game, and more being added, your chances of getting the skin you want are laughably low. Players begged Riot for a reroll system. Something, anything to make it better. Riot's response? Silence. Of course, that's intentional. The longer you wait, the more desperate you get. And before you know it, you're impulse buying a discounted skin you never wanted in the first place. Check out Mr. Arkham to learn more about the horrors of Valorant monetization. In the end, it's hard to ignore the undeniable truth that Valorant's relationship with its community has soured beyond repair. Riot's blatant disregard for player feedback has turned what was once an exciting, tactical shooter into a frustrating grind of stale metas, broken balance, and an endless cash grab. Riot has created a game that thrives on the frustration of its community, all while reaping the profits of their neglect. At this point, Valorant is a reminder of how far a developer can fall when they stop listening to the very players who made their success possible. If you like this video, check out our video on the entire history of Valorant's meta to learn more about the horrific, overpowered, yet fun metas in Valorant.